Hey guys, good evening. It's Simon with Trade and Perform Coaching, and wow, it's been a long day. I'm here. I'm tired. It's 9 o'clock at night, 9:30 actually, 9:22, and I wanted to go over today because it was a very interesting day. So before I get started, let me do the legal notice and disclaimer. Important disclaimer and reminder for all traders and investors. This webinar is for educational purposes only and not a recommendation to buy or sell any particular financial instrument. Equities, futures, options, and currency trading have large potential rewards, but also large potential risks. You must be aware of the risks and be willing to accept them in order to invest in the futures and options markets. Absolutely do not trade with the money you can't afford to lose. The website is neither a solicitation nor an offer to buy or sell equities, futures, or options. No representation is being made that any account will or is likely to achieve profits or losses similar to those discussed on this channel. Past performance of any trading system or methodology is not necessarily indicative of future results. Absolutely consult your registered financial advisor and your risk trading plan before ever investing or trading any financial instrument. Okay, let's get rid of that. Now, let's talk about the open first of all, because today's open was really, I thought, quite difficult. And you had to be really quick to catch it. So, first of all, we had a gap up. And most gap ups on most days have led to a rotation higher, right? So what was the first clue? And we have a trade called a zero tick trade in the RIM. And so someone asked me, well, what was the clue not to take the zero tick trade in the RIM this morning? And so this requires a kind of a bit of a back and forth, right? So let's go to another chart here real quick and just grab a blank ES chart. And it's small details that you catch early in the day that let you know that something different has changed, right? So let's look at a couple of gap ups. Now you'll notice when we've had a few gap ups here, let me try to manipulate this. And I'm going to take a couple minutes longer than I normally do because I think this is really important in not getting run over, right? Notice the first 5-minute bar is red, right? But notice the next one's a doji, and then we get a green bar, and we clear above that green bar, and then we trend up and break into balance in the afternoon. Notice, again, a gap up, but we have 2 bars, and not only are the bars small in nature, they're not expanding in range, right? Notice, look at the bars from the prior day. The size of these bars are within range, and we also, again, we turn around, we hold the open gap, we push back up. Again, you'll notice here, we gap up, we push down, right, which on this particular day actually gave me pause. But again, you'll see the gap fill held, right, and then we turn around and push back up. And then the open that I absolutely love, that I look for as a sign of strength, is the one where we have the bar that's a positive green bar. The first 5-minute bar is positive, and it pushes up like this. We've had multiple examples of that. Again, first or second bar, no red bars, all green. These are the ones when the bars open up and we have a solid green bar out of the gate with a push to the upside like this. I absolutely love these bars, and my tension levels go much lower because I'm very confident that we'll follow through on the upside. So now with all that being said, right, come back to today and you'll notice that first thing that happens was we gap into Tuesday's high, even though NQ was gapping up significantly. It was up over 20 points. Secondly, we get 3 red bars. Now, they're not horribly ugly bars, right? But they're 3 red bars, and they show no progress or ability to open to the upside. And also notice the tick opened really strong, plus 565. Not quite 800 or 900, but strong. But we could not break above Tuesday's high in that. So this was the first warning sign, that first 15 minutes, that something was wrong. If you look at that same time frame, and we can come in here and look at NQ, which I'm going to pull up this chart, right? They have not been trading together, which is a little bit of an anomaly, but NQ has been very, very strong. However, look at NQ out of the gate. Opens up, it starts pushing in, and the first thing that you're going to notice here, even before ES starts rolling over hard, is all of a sudden, look, after we break, we get below the first 5-minute low. That's a clue that there's a problem, right? And then all of a sudden, look at this 5-minute bar right here that pushes past the open gap. If you trade the NASDAQ 100, you'll notice that We haven't been able to do that in a long, long time. And it was an immediate warning sign, right? I want to try to bring this in succinctly. The reason why this is important is because an enormous amount of losses can be sustained in a move like this. This is a move down in NQ from, let me get this number right, 2414, all 2414 all the way down to 2403, right? So it was actually just a vicious one-way trip where a lot of losses can get added into your P&L, right? So remember, you have to counterbalance this with we're at the top of the range. ES and NQ are near their all-time highs. This is last week's high and the all-time high, right? So it puts me in a little bit of a conundrum to start the day. We're not bearish and we're not bullish. So where am I looking for my trading opportunity? Well, whenever we start with a day that has all these red bars in here, I have a pretty simple policy. I'm going to wait for the first green bar to set up. Right now, you don't have to do that, but it certainly would have kept you out from getting busted through these zones. I immediately had called a delayed open drive lower. It's unusual that we came in and filled the gap. And then this was also the single biggest, if you look at all the bars through here, that was the single biggest 5-minute bar that I think we've had in the past week and a half, right? Another sign, when you go back to listen to what Paul Tudor Jones talked about in the crash of 87, he said we had an expansion in overnight range. Okay, that we did not have, at least to the downside. But he also talked about an expansion in the first hour range. And if you squeeze this up, right, and you look, you'll notice that this is a dramatic increase over the first hour ranges that we've been having over the last couple of days. So for me, immediately when I see something like this, this is a pause, step aside, let the market do what it needs to do. Now, in the morning in the market preview in the room, we talked about what locations were key. Now, Tuesday's low was the white zone, right? It's rare for my white zone to get straight busted, but again, I don't think anyone got hurt in here because of the observation of the increase in the size of the range of the bars and the change in the nature and the open drive, delayed open drive lower in NQ, right? Secondly, the key area that we were identifying behind Tuesday's low was the mid of the open gap. And the mid of the open gap did its job, but people were so loosey-goosey with the, they really got worried about the market rolling straight down that when we got to the open gap at 2405, I'm tired, guys, you'll have to forgive me. I wanted to get this out because I thought it was important. 2405. What's the swing low? 2402.75, right? Now, this is what you were targeting, 2405. You pushed back basically 2 and a tick. If you took it into this free fall, that was fine. But I want to show you, and several people did. Ian, tip of the hat to you for that, right? But there was another way to do that, and I want to show you. If you look, we came through, right? And we then proceeded to push up and push down. We kind of formed, if you look at the market like this, right? I want to show you this. If you look at the market like this, you'll say, okay, we've pushed up, right? Let's see if I can manipulate this enough. You can say that we pushed up through here. I'm going to grab a pen and draw this. We came down, we established a low. These wicks, right, see these 3 wicks? These represent responsive buyers. Okay, everyone's probably familiar with candlesticks out there, but I want you to picture what your opponent is doing here. These wicks represent responsive buyers. In order to continue lower, we had to get behind these wicks. Additionally, when we pushed up, you can see that we got responsive sellers where from the wicks that were on top, and they were actually able to push down from 2407 back to 2404. So the only way that could have occurred is for us to have found buyers underneath and push up, and to found sellers on top, and they kind of got into this little fist fight, right? And they said, well, one of us are going to work that out. Now I want you to watch this because this is important. You did not have to step in to the battle at this point, right? Now notice, what has happened here? we have now gotten behind at 2408. We have now gotten behind the sellers, right? We have all the buyers underneath, and we've now gotten behind the sellers. What happens when we get behind sellers is they're forced to come in, right? Now remember, the white zone was a key area here. Now notice it comes right to the back of the white zone, rejects. We push in again, and we start to push all the way into the white zone, clearly having broken the last place where there was responsive sellers. So what are our clues from here? What can we do to make some money? And I want to show you here. You didn't have to step in on any of this. All you had to do at this point is come in and draw up your 50-60 retrace, right? Now, from your 50-60 retrace, your proper stop, you wanted two things. Your proper stop is 1 point behind the swing low, which would have put you at 2401.75, right? And I want to show you when we came in. We come in, we flush down, and you'll notice we come right to the top of the 50 retrace. We find a responsive buyer. And I want to follow this all the way through, including what the tick was doing down here. Because what you'll notice is we're starting to get a pretty negative tick again, negative 600, right? Look at the response back up off that. Negative 600 tick. We had broad market participation in selling. We came right into the 50 retrace. That trade moves from 2406.25 right back to 2410. Okay? We're not done yet. Watch when we come down now. We've come back in, and notice how big the negative tick is again. What this means is the broader market, they made an intensive attempt to push to the downside and were unable to break the early morning swing low. And watch the responsive buy back up again. Notice each time they make a big push down, this time we come up from 2405, just behind the 62 retrace, and push back up to 2409. There's one more opportunity here. Watch when we come back over. Getting late through the day, we're crunching, and I'm looking for that big negative tick, and I just got it right there, almost negative 600, right? See that right there? At 2407, right? And notice we get a big negative tick, but if you look to the left, we can't break the last swing low. Now watch how the day pushes out here. Again, one more negative 600 tick. I apologize, I was a bit early here, but still within reason for a reasonable stop. Another big negative 600 tick. And watch the response back up. So what's keeping this whole thing key here on these pushes down, right, is the inability to get behind. This was this was in essence the first retrace, and this was the swing low. And notice in all of these pushes, this turned out to be the biggest negative tick of the day, and we could not close below the last swing low off to the left. And so watch what happens to the shorts when they come in. They're all pushed back up, and we reverse all the way back up to the high of the day, right into the resistance point. So I want to just be brief again and show a couple of things. Two things. First of all, if you looked at yesterday, yesterday was really dead. If you didn't stress yourself out and try to overtrade yesterday, maybe you took a point, maybe you took 1 or 2 points, no big deal. It was a slow, low volatility day, and as long as you didn't overtrade, you did fine. Today, you did not have to commit to buying into the free fall, as I hope I've demonstrated. You could have simply waited until we found where the responsive buyers, responsive sellers were, which side won, grab the 50 retrace, clearly be able to put on these extreme ticks, right? Be able to use these extreme ticks in this particular cycle of the market to get a push back to the upside, and eventually, because we couldn't push any lower, what this ended up being net, this whole block right here, turned out to be a massive trap for bears, and they all got squeezed out and pushed to the high of the day. So, my name is Simon. My job and my objective is to help push traders who are boom bust traders or losing traders to consistent profitability. That is what I'm hoping to accomplish in this process, is to help push you to consistent profitability. And every person that I coach, either one-on-one or the people that are in the room, that is our objective. Trading is not an easy job, but every day we come in and we look at where the opportunities are going to lie, and then we go, look, we're professional traders. We're going to let the opportunity come to our highest odds locations, right? The zones certainly help. This is all laid out. Tomorrow's zones are already been posted, and pushed out to the members, right? And then we ask a very simple question. Where is it where we can get our highest odds opportunity, and where is it that we can improve from the prior day where we did poorly? Where can we turn that around and get better for the following day? Anyways, I consider the people, everyone in the room, my personal friends. I like to see them get better day by day, week by week, month by month, and we are able to accomplish that. So, and it's very gratifying. So anyways, I'm tired. I'm going to post this up, and I'm going to go to bed. I will talk to everybody in the morning. I'll try to be here by 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. So have a good night, and we'll see you all tomorrow. This is Simon signing off. I hope everyone killed it today.